Richician!
Hey YouTube, Dark Richician 84 here, and welcome back to the history series. We're on part 8 now, and I'm going to talk about 2011. Now, while in general 2011 was one of the shittest years ever, just in general, for the most part it was still a good year for Yu-Gi-Oh! Well, at least for me anyway. So yeah, to start things off, I played a character deck in the first tournament of the year, my Jack Atlas character deck. And unfortunately I didn't do very well. I lost every single game I played in, which seemed to be a reoccurring theme throughout 2009, 10 and 11, just scrubbing out in the first tournament of the year. So what did I lose against anyway? It was Con with anti-meta, Gillet with scraps, oh yeah, that's something I don't think I mentioned throughout 2010. He stopped playing macro like fairly early on, and I actually finally beat it with Prismagician with some clever siding. Yeah, I sided DD Survivor against him, and it helped a lot. And I remember Blue saying that is fucking genius. And then after that, he played Machiners and then Scraps. So anyway, yeah, back to this tournament. I lost against him. And I believe I also lost against Max O, who was playing Karakuris, and lost against him. I must also point out that he'd go on to become a member of Porch Pigeon for Life, as recommended by Billsy. And I remember in the last round I lost against Derek with Black Wings, but I don't remember who else I lost against. I did better in the next tournament though. For this one I decided to borrow the Hopeless Anime Dragon deck, which Billsy took ownership of before I went away to France the previous year. Because it was one of the best decks I ever made, and I wanted to see how it would do in a tournament, and and it went really well actually. I think I won most of my Swiss rounds, but I specifically remember losing against Felix playing a Fish OTK deck, and Davies playing Scraps. And then something insane happened during the first game of the Scrap matchup. Oh god. Sorry, it feels like my hay fever's about to play up. So apologies if I start sniffing and anything. Anyway, yeah, somebody let one off, and Billsy said, went, "Timby, what the fuck did you eat?" Then me, Davis and Derek asked the same question, which was, has somebody farted? Well, Davies said that. I went, who the hell did that? And Derek asked, who farted? started. Um, then it got really bad, and we were just all getting gassed. And Derek's wife yelled, "Oh my God, open the door, quick!" And Gillett did an over-the-top reaction, which we still make jokes about even to this day, which was, "Oh!" And yeah, it just became a long-running joke ever since. Yeah, that was just insane. Anyway, I did make top 8. Yeah, I think it was a top 8 cut, or it might have been top 4, I'm not sure. But then I lost against Felix again. After that, I went back to using Legendary Hero, and by that point, I was running Gungnir, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. I don't remember if I mentioned this in the previous part, but Billsy recommended that I play Gungnir, Dragon of the Ice Barrier, because obviously I can make it with Debris Dragon and King of the Swamp. Now also around about this point I was struggling against another deck which became one of my most hated decks in the game, Anti-Meta. Like, even though I wasn't playing meta, I swear I could not beat that deck to save my life. It was just so frustrating. You had Doomcal to do a mandatory monster effect negate, but that wasn't as annoying as Banisher of the Radiance, Thunder King and Fossil Diner, which just hurt a lot of decks, just getting cut off from the graveyard, searching, and special summoning. It was so annoying. I mean, I did have ways to attack over Banisher and Fossil Diner. Thunder King was hard to get over without removal, but there'd always be protection from Solemn Warning, Royal Oppression, Deep Prison, Bottomless. Yeah, it was just so annoying. I'm trying to remember how I did in that tournament from mid-January that year. I know I lost at least 2 matches. One was against Billsy playing anti-meta, another one was against Felix playing some sort of Gemini hero deck thing. But I did win against Code, who was playing Gladiator Beasts somehow. Yeah, I don't remember how I did it, but I do remember that I beat him 2-1. I don't remember what my other matchups were that day, though. After that was a tournament at the Hall, which I didn't do so well in. Again, I only remember 2 matches, one of which was against Billsy again, and I actually did take our match to a 3rd game this time. Yeah, I don't remember how I actually won, but I did, but sadly I just lost the match. Which was a shame, because I think I had some good cards on hand to side against him, but I guess they didn't help. And then, rather annoyingly, I lost against Pokemaster Cube and his dragons, which is a pity, because I had control of the field with Rainbow Neos, but every time I got it out onto the field, he always summoned Exploder Dragon and crashed into it. and got rid of it. I was like, are you kidding me? Yeah, it was unfortunate. Don't even remember my other matchups, but I know I didn't top. And then at that point, I decided to give up on using a side deck, because I just felt it was letting me down too much. Because it's like I just wasn't drawing my sided cards when I needed them, or I'd draw them far too late in the game, or they just didn't do anything. So I vowed to never use one again, although that would change later on in the year. I think it was some point during the summer where I decided to give side decks another chance. After that, I rebuilt my Crystal Beasts, which I did have like previously in late 2007 and early 2008. Yeah, I think the collectible tin prints of Sapphire Pegasus and Rainbow Dragon helps me get those more easily. But anyway, I decided to play them in a tournament, but again I failed miserably, mainly because there was some confusion regarding what would happen if they were attacked while face down. Now, rather annoyingly, back in the summer of 2009, I was given a wrong ruling about them, because I recorded a video, a dual video, not involving me, where a Crystal Beast was attacked while face down, and it was flipped in damage step and put in the back row, and then someone told me that they can't go to the back row if they're destroyed while face down. And I was led to believe that that included being attacked while face down and destroyed by battle. And yeah, as I said, that's what I was led to believe, and I may have given other people this wrong ruling as well. But I was told like the actual ruling a lot later on, but back then I was just making it unnecessarily difficult for myself to play the deck. And because of that I lost all my games. I lost against Anti-Meta, Scraps, and then 3 different versions of Light Swarms. One of which was a Chaos build, which I think Code played. Another was a zombie build, used by Ed. But I don't remember what the other version was. Yeah, it was unfortunate. Then I played a few other fun decks in tournaments over the course of a few weeks. I then played Evil You Bell hero deck in a tournament, but I only won 1 match with it, and that was against Bradley, playing a mixture of heroes and warriors. I also lost against X-Sabers and Machiners. Again, unfortunate, but I wasn't expecting to do very well, but it was still fun. And then I played my Dead Eyes deck. I don't remember who remembers it, but yeah, it was just basically a generic zombie deck with the focus being on a red-eyed zombie dragon. Now I know I said previously I didn't like zombies, but this was at a point where I didn't have a reason to hate them, since they were hit significantly on the March 2010 ban list. Um, and yeah, this deck did of course include Zombie World, which is a floodgate field spell that I do hate today. Um, but back then I didn't have a problem with it. It only really became a problem when the Zombie Horde structure deck came out, and we got Doom King Balderrock and Soul Absorbing Bone Tower was seeing more play. And Zombie World actually became a real problem. But back then, I didn't hate it yet, so it was fine. I wasn't sure how well I'd do, but I actually did better than I thought and won most of my matches, one of which was against Blackwings, used by Felix, and another was against Code with Monarchs, and I inadvertently crippled his deck with Zombie World, because obviously one of its strong effects is that only zombie monsters can be tribute summoned, and even tribute set. The fact that you can't tribute set under Zombie World just doesn't make sense, because you can't confirm what type of monster is being set. But on the plus side, at least it's an anti-monarch card, and yeah, he just couldn't do anything. And I made top 4, because there was no top 8 cards, but I lost against Felix's Blackwings again, unfortunately. Now during this time, I made a couple of other YouTuber friends through Scapegoat User, Ojama the Bomb, and Lucky Wolf G. Some guys who would make a few appearances in Scapegoat User's videos, including tournament videos, not necessarily tournament duels, but yeah, they were quite fun to watch, and even Emma, as in my Emma, would make an appearance in a couple of those videos as well. Yeah, those guys eventually joined us in Skype calls and stuff. I even had a feature match with Lucky Wolf G, where I was playing Legendary Hero and he was playing Stardust Dragon Assault mode. And I remember one cool play I did to counter Stardust Assault mode. So I activated Polymerization to try and bring something else. He tributed Stardust to negate. Then I activated another Polymerization and fusion summoned Rainbow Neos, and then I activated the third effect, milled the top card to spin his whole graveyard back, which stopped Stardust Assault mode coming back. And I won that match. It was beautiful. That being said, though, even if it did come back, it didn't have the attack points to deal with Rainbow Neos. So yeah, had that have happened, I would have just attacked over it anyway, and even though Stardust would have, the original Stardust would have come back, I would have attacked that on my next turn anyway. So yeah, sometimes certain effects and certain immunities don't matter to Rainbow Neos. Even if his effects don't work on him, I can just attack right over. Anyway, so we're in mid-February now, and I decided to play my card deck, the deck of cards that I made earlier, like in tournament play. I don't think I did very well though. Trying to, I know I did win at least one match, which was against Martin. I only remember one other matchup, which was against Six Samurais. Oh yeah, and it was at this point where the legendary Six Samurais had come into the game, including one of my old arch nemesis cards, legendary Six Samurai Shen. Yeah, I was not happy when I saw this card for the first time and read what it did, and I was like, why, Konami? It's bad enough that Heraklinos exists. Why did you have to bring in another Dark Bride on legs? So yeah, I knew what to expect going into this, and I just got stuck behind Shen and couldn't fucking do anything. I even tried to bait a negate. It didn't work, and I lost that. So yeah, that was that. Then sometime afterwards, my work hours changed again. Like they were changed back so that I'd have Fridays off and had to work Saturdays, which I really wasn't happy about, not gonna lie, because it meant that no matter what day a tournament was on, I'd have to either turn up late and take a couple of auto game losses, or just not participate at all. Whereas regarding Fridays, it was just like, what the hell am I meant to do on a Friday? Like, there was just fuck all to do. So yeah, it was difficult to attend tournaments. I mean, sometimes I could make them, like regardless of whether I'd have to take a game loss or two, or it just started late. Or sometimes I'd just simply miss out. Yeah, after that, I remember a game I had where I used my legendary hero deck against Bills's anti-meta, and I finally defeated it. Don't remember how I did it, but yeah, it was just a good feeling finally beating a deck that I could not beat to save my life before. In fact, at this point, I was actually main decking Snowman Eater, because just in general, it's a good card, and but the main reason I put it in was to specifically counter the monsters that were played in anti-meta. So I could destroy Fossil Diner, Thunder King, or Banisher without even attacking, in case there was a battle trap or a bottomless. Yeah, it was a big help for sure. And after that, Dragoonities were seeing a lot of play, as we had support in Hidden Arsenal 3, and I think there was some in Hidden Arsenal 2, I'm not sure, but there was also the structure deck that had come out, and both Davies and Gillett started playing it. Um, and um, and they'd have Light and Darkness Dragon thrown in, and the combo would be to try and bring out Dragoonity Armour Leviton, the structure deck boss monster, um, and equip Light and Darkness Dragon to it. And the idea was that if that got destroyed, Light and Darkness Dragon would kick in and bring it back, and then Leviton would re-equip it. Now, there was an awkward wrong ruling that was given out back then regarding Light and Darkness Dragon, where we were told it can still negate things 4 times as an equip, which caused some illegal game states. This would occur like I don't remember about casual games, but I know it did come up in an online tournament, as round about this time Kalo Shade started his own tournaments exclusively for members of the KCP, and a friend of ours, the Egyptian Prodigy, joined our group and entered, and I faced him in round 1, and Light and Darkness Dragon gave me some problems, but I did go on to win the rest of my matches, which was against Emma Blue Eyes 10, Jinrai Prime, and Scapegoat User, who at the time was playing Monarchs with Relinquished in it. Odd mix, I know, but it worked a lot. And then eventually we were given the right ruling, where Light and Darkness Dragon can't negate anything while it's in equip. Again with the fucking wrong rulings. That would have changed everything regarding that first round. So annoying. And then I decided to have an endurance to celebrate getting 700 subscribers. I forgot to mention about 2010 that there was a 600 subscriber mini tournament which Billsy helped me with. And I remember he was using Hopeless Anime Dragon in that one, and there was a semi-final game where I used my Yugi deck against it and had Dark Paladin out, but it couldn't get rid of 5-headed dragon. And then the Yugi deck lost, but Legendary Hero won against Hopeless Anime Dragon and the whole thing. But I decided to do something different to celebrate a subscriber milestone. So yeah, I once again brought back my Machine deck, my Warrior deck, I was trying to remember if I was specifically using decks that I won tournaments with. I did use those, plus Legendary Hero and my Yugi deck. Actually, no, I didn't, because I was also using Exodia in this one, and my random deck. I think I was bringing those back because I had something planned for the 8th anniversary for when I first started playing Yu-Gi-Oh, which would come up half a year later. So yeah, I had an endurance game, and Billsy jumped in. He used his anti-meta deck at first, and it beat my random deck. Then I brought in Exodia, which was doing well, but then one of the pieces got banished off Mind Crush. I know it normally says it sends it to the graveyard, but Banisher of the Radiance was on the field. But I still managed to get a win because I put Lava Golem on his field and just stalled it out. And I can't remember if he lost all his life points through it or he decked out. Either way, Exodia did take out anti-meta. Oh, and I must also mention that we were using the other rules where nothing resets, just like in the 5Ds anime. And then, rather annoyingly, he brought in Gladiator Beasts. It wasn't his deck, but it was Pokemaster Cubes. This was where I started struggling. Because cards would get popped by Geyserus, and then Heraklinos came out, and then everything I played just struggled against it. Yeah, I could not get around Heraklinos. I mean, I did eventually, but even then I was on my last deck, Legendary Hero. I think I was able to bait out some negates and fusion summon Absolute Zero and use his effect to get rid of Harak. And then what I did was use Monster Reborn to bring Heraklinos back to my side of the field. And I only did that in case he tried to bring it back in some way or another. But even then, he was able to get rid of it without using any spells or traps. Can't remember the specific steps, but he made Geyserus and destroyed Harak, and then he brought out another Harak. Yeah, I was just really annoyed and salty after that. Just ranting, raving, calling for Heraklinos to get banned. And again, I wanted it banned for years, but of course that never happened. And I think in just later years I just gave up all hope of that ever happening. So what I decided to do was just redo the whole thing, because thanks to Heraklinos, I didn't have a chance to do anything. People wonder why I hate Gladiator Beasts so much. So yeah, I redid it a week later, but then I was struggling behind Gillet's Dragoonities. I did beat them eventually, and a few other decks, and even Derek joined in and borrowed decks that I had that I wasn't using in this endurance for some reason. Yeah, he borrowed my vampires, my crystal beasts. I think that was it, really. But then it was pointed out that there were several mistakes throughout this endurance that messed up the game state. Now, it was said that some plays with Dragoonity Atlas would miss timing somehow, used with this and another card, which did cause a lot of confusion after that. Don't even remember the old combos with Atlas. And then with the Crystal Beast matchup against my legendary heroes, there were two other mistakes that I didn't pick up on. There was one point where he attempted to use Crystal Abundance, and not realising that it was a cost to send 4 Crystal Beasts from the back row, I MST'd one of them thinking it would fizzle, and then there was another one where I thought I could use Divine Wrath to stop Crystal Beast Amethyst Cat attacking directly. That wasn't the case, which meant that Derek should have won the whole thing with my Crystal Beasts. Oops. But to be fair, I didn't even know these rulings regarding Crystal Beasts at the time. But hey, at least I do now. So I think I just ended up deleting the whole thing. Yeah, that was annoying. Just having the whole thing misplayed. Typical. Just first time it was scrapped because Heraklinos didn't let me do anything. Second time it was because of multiple mistakes. Oh well. Let's see. And speaking of mistakes and wrong rulings, I then learnt the actual rule regarding face-down Crystal Beast monsters. Now, obviously, if they're destroyed by an effect while face-down, then, yeah, they don't go to the back row. However, if they're face-down and they get attacked, the battle will flip them up, and then they can go to the back row. That's what the actual ruling is, which I learnt from Emma Blue Eyes and someone else, which meant that that other person who gave me the wrong ruling, which told me the other ruling, had in fact given me a wrong ruling. And I deleted that duel for nothing. So yeah, this is why if someone gives me a ruling in the comments section of a video saying, oh, you can't do this, this card is supposed to work like that, I'm usually hesitant to believe them at first, as I usually want to check myself or ask them where they got this ruling from. So yeah, forgive me if I don't believe you at first, if you give me a ruling in the comments. So yeah, I played Crystal Beasts in another tournament to give them another chance and see how they really should have done. Did okay though, but I only won 2 out of 3 matches. One may have been a bye, the other one was against Clive, playing a machine deck, but I did lose against everything else. Don't remember the matchups though. And after that came my trip to the Nationals. I went there with Derek, Timby and Davies. And we went because it was an open invite. You didn't have to try and qualify in regionals to attend Nationals, at least that year. So yeah, I finally attended a huge Yu-Gi-Oh event. And I took Legendary Hero. I wanted to see how I did. Although before that, I should mention something about Elemental Hero The Shining, which I very nearly forgot. It came out in a manga promo in the spring that year. And again, there was a bit of confusion about whether or not we could play manga promos in tournaments over here in the UK. Now, one person told me that we could, as long as it was okay with the tournament organizer, and I know Derek wouldn't have denied me being able to use the Shining. And then I found out later that manga promos still can't be played in tournaments over here unless it had a European reprint, just like Shonen Jump promos. Yeah, so many people were pissed off about that. Like, even to this day, I'm pissed off that Konami enforced such a stupid ruling. So while I could play The Shining in casual games, it meant I had to take it out of my extra deck for tournament games. And that made my deck harder to play, considering there were so many opportunities to bring out The Shining. Now, I don't remember the specific reason why Konami enforced that rule, but from what I heard, they did it because it was unfair for older players to be able to get Shonen Jump and manga promos while younger players couldn't. But I don't think that's a valid reason, and that means nothing, considering that this is no different from older players, or should I say competitive players, getting hold of expensive ultras, ultimates, secrets, ghosts, and then later on Starlight rares, while other players couldn't get them so easily. Plus, they can just get these cards for other players, which doesn't. So the fact that they can get them more easily just doesn't mean anything, and I just think it's a stupid rule that Konami should get rid of, and it meant that I couldn't play The Shining for a year, and couldn't play Escorida for 6 months, and then couldn't play Ebon Illusion Magician for 2 years. 2 fucking years! Like, what a joke. Now, I did have a somewhat okay replacement for The Shining regarding tournaments, which was Elemental Hero Neos Knight. But of course, it just wasn't the same. So yeah, anyway, went to the Nationals, didn't do very well. Now, even though there were lots of rounds to play, me and the guys only played in 5, and I lost the first 3. First matchup was Gravekeepers, which was a terrible matchup because of Necro Valley. Lost that. Then I lost against 6 Samurais, which of course was another bad matchup, because Shen and Beast just negated half my deck. So I just pretty much auto-lose against them. I think my only outs were Black Rose Dragon and Gunner. That was literally it. Although by this point I did start using a side deck again, but it just didn't help me that much again. And yeah, not only did Shen and Nat Beast cause me problems, but also D-Fissure. Fucking D-Fissure! Yeah, that was being mained or sided in 6 Samurais, which made no sense to me. And I even remember going, who the fuck plays D-Fissure in 6 Samurais? It just doesn't complement them, because it just turns off several cards that they play, like double-edged sword technique. I mean, you could argue that it can just be sided out, but still, what about other cards? I don't know. Either way, that was annoying. Then I lost against Black Wings, although I did win one duel against that opponent, but still lost to them, which was unfortunate because I should have been able to beat Black Wings easily with Legendary Hero, but I didn't. I did finally win a match though, which was against someone playing Nordics, although I did struggle in game one and got stuck behind one of the Nordic gods and Stardust Dragon, but I did win the other two games, therefore finally winning a match. And then I lost against another really bad matchup, Macro Monarch, which I hadn't encountered for a while. Yeah, that was unfortunate. It just really sucks that I just scrubbed out and just wasn't doing well, like in the biggest event of the year. Like maybe I was just having an off day, or maybe that was just the nature of the Nationals. Yeah, wasn't a great run. I mean, I still enjoyed it for what it was, but it still sucks that I didn't do very well. Also didn't help that I was car sick, like, on the journey there. Like, even Derek being like, really? So, like, I had to throw up in a plastic bag that I had on hand, and then like, he did stop like as soon as he was able to, and I had to step out and puke the rest of my guts up. Don't know what caused that though. Mind you, I do have a history of getting car sick. It was just really bad when I was a kid. Hasn't happened for a while though. Then again, the last time I did feel car sick was actually when I was with my family on holiday in France back in 2017. And that was on my birthday. Yeah, it was just not nice getting car sick on my birthday. Anyway, after that, there came another shitty thing about 2011, which actually happened on my birthday that year, sticking to the subject of birthdays. Porch Pigeon for Life split up. I'm not going to go into a lot of the details, but basically there was beef and differences with like a couple of the members, a difference that I hate to say it, they just couldn't seem to be bothered to resolve, and as a result Porch Pigeon for Life split up. And I hate that this just happened on my birthday of all days. Yeah, it just really put a downer on the whole day and made it the worst birthday ever. At least until last year's birthday, that is. Shame really, because things were going great to start off with. I got hold of some booster packs, including 2 Extreme Victory packs, and I kid you not, in both those packs, I pulled an ultra rare Junk Berserker. Like, that was just insane. I wish I still had that video. And it was just perfect for me, because I could put one in my U.K deck, which was now being played as a U.K deck rather than U.K Fudo Turbo, and one from my U.K deck collection. And of course, I still have those exact same copies in that deck and in that collection, even to this day. But yeah, the fallout just ruined the whole day for me. Yeah. On another positive note, I was starting to have more tournament success with my Legendary Hero deck. I mean, a bit earlier in the year, I won the second ever KCPT with that deck, and I just won against everyone I came across. Heavenly Guinea Pig with generic water. Second round opponent pass, and I went up against the Cryotech rather annoyingly, playing 6 Samurais, although interestingly Legendary 6 Samurai Shin didn't give me too much trouble. I don't remember it being played at all, but I do know that he was using a lot of the older 6 Samurai cards. And then I went up against Billsy in the final, playing Infernities, which would have been a difficult matchup, but I think I got lucky against him. He seemed to brick in both games, and then in game 2, oh yeah, that was it. This was when I actually started using my side deck again. I sided Raw Decree against him in a bid to stop him using Barrier again. But he went first, so there was a good chance that he'd get to use them first, but luckily he didn't seem to have them on hand, and I flipped Dark Decree at the earliest opportunity, and they just went on to scoop. I did feel bad for him, but at the same time, I was happy to finally win a tournament with Legendary Hero. So I don't know whether or not he ever forgave me for using Decree to stop him twice. Then my second victory came in late July of that year. I went almost undefeated in Swiss, because here's what happened. I beat someone using Dragoonities. Don't remember who it was. It might have been Davies. I don't remember. Then I won against Max O, who was playing 6 Samurais, which was the worst matchup, but I think I got really lucky against him and took it to a third game. And I remember there was one point, this was one of the greatest plays I ever did. He had Legendary 6 Samurai Shin and Naturia Barkion on the field. Now, what I didn't realise until some point before this tournament was that Naturia Barkion is a Dragon Synchro, and I used Super Poly and fused them both together into Dragonite Draco Equist. And I went on to win the whole tournament, whole round from there. Then I went up against Billsy, who was playing Tengu Plant. I won 2-1 against him. Then I defeated Gillett's Dragoonity deck, and then for some reason I got paired against Billsy again, and then ended up losing against him. And then it just went to a top 2 cut for some reason. Maybe because of lack of time to do it, or the fact that a lot of people had to go home. So me and Billsy made the top two, and I managed to win against him with help from Trishula. So yeah, finally won a local tournament with my legendary hero deck. See, this is why when I made my past format version of Legendary Heroes, I chose this format specifically, because this was when it was at its most successful, even though it was a shit format, purely because of Six Saturns. And Trishula I actually got hold of in the spring from a box. I did purchase a Hidden Arsenal 4 box, hoping to pull Trishula, which you could say was a bold plan, considering that Trishula was the rarest and most expensive card in the entire set at the time. But I just went for it, and I was lucky enough to pull Trishula, and it's been in my Legendary Hero extra deck ever since. Well, except during the time that it was banned, of course. Although rather annoyingly, I remember a few people trying to trade for it, and I had to keep saying, no, I'm playing it in a deck. And as you know, one of my trading pet peeves is people trying to trade for a card that I'm playing in my deck. Like, who does that? Like, if it's in a deck, it's a big enough hint to suggest that it's not up for grabs. Yeah, so annoying. Then after that, I acquired Elemental Hero Nova Master and Utopia. Yeah, I almost forgot to mention that it was during this time when Xyz monsters came into the game. We had the starter deck to start off which gave us Utopia, Grenosaurus and Gachi Gachi, and then we'd get more Xyzes in Generation Force, my favourite Zexal set. So yeah, Nova Master and Utopia were added to my extra deck, and after that the ban list dropped, and I was pleased to see that Royal Oppression was getting banned, and Legendary 6 Samurai Shen was getting limited. Of course, I would have preferred it if Shen got banned, but I figured, well, I guess limited will do, even though I don't think it made that much of a difference. One thing I did hate was Debris Dragon getting limited, and I was playing 2 copies of Debris Dragon in my Legendary Hero deck at the time, and it just annoyed me because I thought that would just kill my Synchro engine, so I just didn't know what to do. So I did kind of give up playing that deck and split the deck back into Dark Magician, Elemental Heroes and Rainbow Neos. But that didn't last long though, because I figured out a workaround. Goblinderberg and Rose Warrior of Revenge. So I figured, yes, this would be my replacement level 8 Synchro and rank 4 engine, as this actually made bringing out Stardust Dragon and Utopia a lot more easier. So yeah, that's what I went with. And also around about this time, Blue came back into the game, and together we rebuilt Porch Pigeon for Life. But we only recruited a couple of members to start off with, Davies and Ed. But we only did 2 videos since rebuilding the team. Just trying to think what was next. Some point throughout the year was when Emma heard my voice for the first time. Because Skype calls with all these guys were very frequent, and there was one in particular where Emma heard my voice for the first time, wondered who it was, and just loved the sound of it. And I think we ended up finding each other on Facebook, and that's when she saw what I looked like, and had a crush on me ever since. Anyway, for the 8th anniversary of when I got into the game, I did a cross ban list tournament with all my decks that either won a tournament over the years or at least topped. And I did have assistance from Davies, Derek, Neo Nexus, Scapegoat User, and Billsy throughout the course of October. And it was during October where I actually made my first ever visit to Margate. There was some holiday time that I was given, and I decided to use it to basically go and visit my friends from Kent in person. And Scapegoat User's girlfriend from the time, Avril, offered to put me up, as well as Scapegoat User. So I went down there, met up with Neo Nexus, Ojama the Bomb, and Avril. Dropped most of my stuff off at Avril's. And then after that was when I met Emma in person for the first time ever. I don't think she expected me to turn up at her front door. Like I said before, that was when it was love at first sight. Or at least it should have been for me, and it was, but I just didn't know it yet. I mean, it would have properly been, but at the time, I was making the stupid mistake of trying to get back together with Anna, who came back into the picture before I went away. Now, I wasn't sure how she'd feel about seeing me, considering we parted on bad terms back in 2009. But there was just no ill feeling, and I was trying to figure out a way to get back together with her. But more on that later. It was still really nice to meet Emma at that time, all the same. After that, we met up with Flannery, another friend of theirs, and the Scapegoat User in the CAF. And then me and Neo Nexus had our first in-person match. he was playing Junk, I was playing my Jack Atlas character deck, which had a lot of improvements since the start of the year. Our game one was a closer game, despite Junk Gardener giving me problems, but then in game two I bricked and lost the whole thing. Then we continued with the cross-bandless tournament games. Then I had a match against Scapegoat User against his Flemville Zombie deck. And I was using Legendary Hero. He beat me 2-1. The following day we went off to their local tournament, which I did well in, despite not being off to the best of starts. I went up against Mr. Sasuke Dragon, who I first met the night before in Wired, and he was playing a Fabled deck, Tour Guide Fable to be exact, and it was a good back and forth game which lasted a while, although there was one point where somehow my Dark Magician accidentally slipped out of my hand and I spent about 5 minutes trying to look for it. I did, eventually, and then time on the round was called and he won for end of match procedure on game bloody 1. Then I had a bye win, then I went up against Luke Jackson. Yeah, Luke Jackson, Luke Pierce, the younger brother of Jay Pierce, one of their star players, who rather annoyingly was playing X-Sabers. Now, he did win game 1, but I managed to win game 2. And game 3 I managed to win with help from Super Poly, because I used it to get rid of Naturia Beast and then just turn the whole thing around. And then a couple of turns later he went, wait, I could have negated that, but I was like, actually you couldn't, because Super Poly can't be negated. And then Mr. Sasuke Dragon was watching, said, yeah, he's right, it's a Speed Spell 4 card. And then Luke said something which we still sometimes joke about to this day, which is, what's Speed Spell 4? So yeah, I took that game. Then I lost against this person called George, who was a member of Team Chaos Sandwich, playing Karakuris. Lost against him. Then I played against another guy, Kaisley, who was playing the same deck as Jay, but I was able to win against him. So yeah, 3 wins, 2 losses, not bad for the visitor. After that, we went back to Avril's place, then had KFC, I think, did trades, watched Zombieland, then had a couple of battle royales which carried on into the early hours of the morning. First, there was a 4-way between me, Neo-Nexus, Ojama Bomb and Mr. Sasuke Dragon, all playing the same decks we used in the tournament. So I was on Legendary Hero, Jay was on Fabled, Ojama the Bomb was using Ojamas, and Neo-Nexus was playing Chaos Zombies. And he was off to a good start. He had quite an overwhelming board. Don't worry about that. Let's see. And then he got taken out because he was on low life points, and there was a Raikou in attack mode, and yeah, that's how he got taken out. Then Ojama the Bomb did, and I was on low life points. I think I was on 400, but I top-decked Dark Hole, nuked Mr. Sasuke Dragon's field, summoned a Stratos, did a search, attacked him. but I still wasn't safe because I knew if he summoned something with 2200 or more attack points, I'd lose. Then he got out Black Rose Dragon and just attacked over. After that we did a 5-way where Scapegoat User jumped in and the threat kept changing. It was very interesting. Catasta was on the field causing problems. Then a BLS came out and banished it, and we were stuck behind that for a while. Then Neon Exodus turned the duel back around with Trishula and banished the BLS. And took out my Stardust Dragon. Then someone took out Trishula, and I got out Dark Magician and was just using him to defend because Ojama Country was on the field as well as a few Ojamas. And then Mr. Sasuke Dragon got out a Gaia Knight and attacked someone. It wasn't me for some reason. Yeah, it was quite the battle royal. I think it was the best, if not one of the best duels I ever had. Then Chaos Sorcerer came out and banished Gaia Knight. Then Arcanite Magician hit the board and popped 2 of Mr. Sasuke Dragon's cards. I love how my board was being left alone for some reason. I don't know, there just seemed to be a bit of competition between the 2 members of Team What Upon UK. I know Scapegoat User got taken out first, then Ojama. But then the time came for me to turn things around. I used Monster Reborn to bring back my Stardust Dragon, and had Dark Magician and Stardust Dragon take out their monsters. And then they got stuck. Then I top-decked Miracle Fusion. I played Heavy Storm to try and clear any back row out. Starlight Road was activated, and Sasuke Dragon brought out his own Stardust Dragon. Then I played Miracle Fusion and brought out Shining Flare Wingman. Then normal summoned Stratos and popped the remaining back rows, which for some reason Mr. Sasuke Dragon didn't negate with his own Stardust, but I guess it didn't matter considering what I had on the board. And then just because I could, I then made Utopia, just to do a flashy finish, and then won the whole thing with 2 cards left in my deck. Yeah, that was great. After that, went back home, and not much really happened until that one awful night. So I finally got an opportunity to try and lead to things getting back together with Anna, but she said she moved on, which of course broke my heart. And then I left the party almost in tears. And that's not the end of that sad story. I found out that a couple of nights before that she and Blue had got together. So not only was I sad and heartbroken, I then just felt angry. And then, quite simply, I ended my friendship with Blue and quit Porch Pigeon for life. And then after that, the team ended up falling apart, and yeah, that was the end of Porch Pigeon for life, hence why there's been no content on there since late 2011. So yeah, I was just in a pretty bad place, and just when I thought things couldn't possibly get any worse, they did. I then also lost my job because I got made redundant. Yeah, I was really at rock bottom there. So I just did the only thing I could do, which was to just try and put all this bad stuff behind me and just move on with my life. I mean, one plus side being at least I had whole weekends free again. But I was forced to basically go on the dole. Going back to Yu-Gi-Oh related matters though, I then stopped playing Legendary Hero again and decided to play something similar because I missed the focus being on Dark Magician. Dark Magician Hero. That's when I first made this deck. Unfortunately, it wasn't very good to start off with. Yeah, it was a mixture of Dark Magician support cards and standard Elemental Hero cards. I don't know. Didn't work out very well. I scrubbed out in the first two tournaments I played it in. I think I did win one match at least in both tournaments. I guess it was just down to trial and error more than anything. And yeah, this would continue on into 2012. So yeah, that wraps up 2011. So yeah, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next part when I talk about 2012. See you later. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the Dark Richician YouTube channel.